Of the hour, President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees are making the rounds with senators on Capitol Hill as Trump is reportedly reconsidering one of his key picks. Fox News digital political correspondent Brooke Singman now live in Washington with the very latest. Brooke.
Hey, good morning, Maria. That's right. So President-elect Trump is reportedly considering Florida Governor Ron DeSantis replacement for his defense secretary pick, Pete Hegseth. So the Wall Street Journal reporting, quote, that Trump allies are increasingly thinking that Hegseth may not survive further scrutiny, according to people close to the president-elect's team, which can.
And we kick it off with the hot topic of the hour. President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees are making the rounds with senators on Capitol Hill as Trump is reportedly reconsidering one of his key picks. Fox News digital political correspondent Brooke Singman now live in Washington with the very latest. Brooke.
Hey, good morning, Maria. That's right. So President-elect Trump is reportedly considering Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as a potential replacement for his defense secretary pick, Pete Hegseth. So the Wall Street Journal reporting, quote, that Trump allies are increasingly thinking that Hegseth may not survive further scrutiny, according to people close to the president-elect's team, which considers the next 48 hours to be crucial to his fate. So Hegseth is still set to meet with these senators today, as well as the House Republican Study Committee. On Monday, he met with Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville, who's expressing concerns about some of Trump's nominees. Listen.
I'm worried about two or three of our nominations. I'm worried about, well, I won't go over the ones you can usually pick those out. But at the end of the day, we've got to do a good job of pointing out the strengths of these nominations.
So, also facing a setback when it comes to his DEA pick. Sheriff Chad Chronister, who withdrew his name from consideration after criticism over his COVID-19 policies. Chronister saying in part, quote, as the gravity of this very important responsibility set in, I've concluded that I must respectfully withdraw from consideration. There's more work to be done for the citizens of Hillsborough County and a lot of initiatives I am committed to fulfilling. Meanwhile, Trump's pick to run the Treasury Department, Scott Bessent, is reportedly planning to meet with Senate Republicans today to shore up votes ahead of the confirmation process. Now, those confirmation hearings will begin at the start of the new year to get cabinet nominees confirmed ahead of Trump's inauguration on January 20th. Maria?
All right, Brooke, thanks very much. A lot of information there. Brooke Singman. Meanwhile, Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, signaling that funding for illegal migrants is on the chopping block, highlighting that the immigration crisis has cost taxpayers more than $150 billion. And that was just last year. Fox Digital writes this. DOGE noted that when adjusted for inflation, U.S. spending on illegal immigration in a single year is comparable to government spending during the entirety of World War I, the Apollo space program, and significantly more than what was spent on the Manhattan Project, the Panama Canal, and the Hoover Dam. This is just extraordinary, Rebecca. Your reaction. Good morning.
Good morning. And it really sickens me. And I, for all of these sanctuary states and cities that are coming to the federal government and saying, with their hands out, saying, oh, we're running out of money, we're going to kick these people out of our hotels. Hey, federal government, where's the additional money? Let's just understand, Maria, that this is something that absolutely is superfluous to the necessity of us running our country and can be cut. We have legal immigration. It needs to be reformed, but this is not the way to do it.
I mean, this obsession with taking in illegals and housing them and caring for them and giving them all of this stuff with $158 billion in a year, Michael.
So this is the opportunity to sit back and say the sanctuary city concept really does not work, especially when you have people who are coming here and committing crimes. Today, Mayor Adams saying, yep, I'm going to sit with Tom Homan, and I'm going to say these people who have committed crimes need to get out of the country now, not to wait for their convictions, to get them out of here. It's changing the whole dynamic of this whole conversation, and these numbers only drive that issue.
Yeah, it really is. What do you think, Adam?
Children here in New York City, kindergarten through third grade, not able to go to school in some cases because migrants are being housed in the gymnasiums of public schools. That's crazy. The New York Times, arguably a voice of the left, published an article several months ago where they actually tabulated what a family of four illegal migrants living here in the city would have to make in order to get all the benefits that New York City is handing them. $300,000 between, rooms and hotels, cell phones, 3 days a meal for, again, 4 people, on and on. $300,000, and yet we can't afford to take care of our own veterans. That's the problem. We've prioritized illegal migrants over our own people, whether they're children or veterans, and that's just not the American way.
So why does Joe Biden travel to Africa and then leave telling them that he's pledging $1 billion in aid there as well.
Well,
he's trying
to take. Presidents have done this for decades, right? Where there's a problem here at home, so what do? You go abroad.
Yeah.
You get people's eyes off what's happening at home.
We've got this breaking news overnight as well. The Biden administration locking in a remote work deal with the largest federal workers union in the country. This is the American Federation of Government Employees. They've secured an agreement for more than 42,000 Social Security workers that protect their ability to work from home until 2029 in an updated contract. DOJ has floated ending remote work for federal employees. You know that, as part of an effort to shrink the size of the government. Hedge fund manager billionaire Bill Ackman posted this on X. Biden is attempting to make permanent the deep state before he leaves office by burdening the government with untenable contracts so that Donald Trump and DOJ cannot succeed. This needs to stop now. It's an interesting take.
Well,
Trying to blow up the place before he leaves.
Imagine creating a contract before you leave office so that the incoming president can't get what he wants. Well, there are always ways around it. Let's say that Biden actually is able to secure this deal whereby if you're a federal worker, you have to come into the office. There'll be other performance measures introduced by DOJ where you say, well, you've got to perform, and some of those performance reviews have to be done in person, and you have to be here 3 days a week to do it.
Yeah, but how does that change what's already, signed, sealed, and delivered in this contract he just agreed to?
Right.
Well,
the entrenchment, Maria.
There are always clever workworkarounds for these sort of things. This is just the first volley.
More concerning to me is here's a president who's unbridled. He's sitting there. He allows Ukraine to use the weapons into Russia.
Right.
He goes and creates these contracts. He pardons his son.
Yeah.
Not a lame duck.
He's not right. He's trying to do all these things at the end of his session.
Yeah, as he's walking out the door.
Yeah, it's not a lame duck. And this entire embedded, he's got the same problem Trump does with civil servants. He's having to use the Schedule F so that he can actually fire civil servants that he wants to hire. So this entrenchment has to stop, Maria. And I just want to say, sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, you can't be that if you have to have federal funding. Period.
Yeah,
right. I like that.
And I think that's what's increasingly being talked about right now. All right, we're just getting started this morning. Stay with us. Welcome back. Take a look at futures this morning. We've got a firmer tone for stocks, expecting a big rally at the start of trading. The Dow Industrial is up 220 points right now. The Nasdaq is up 139. S&P higher by 17. And, of course, we've had a rally all year. Markets green across the board since Election Day, certainly. Notably, the Dow is up just since Election Day, 6%. The S&P is up 4 2/3%, and the Nasdaq up 5.5% since Election Day. Joining me now is Anderson Capital Management's Chief Investment Officer, Peter Anderson. Peter, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
What a move. Do you think this has legs through year end and into 2025? And how much of President Trump's second term policies are already priced into this market?
Maria, I've been doing this for quite a while, and I've never been more optimistic and enthusiastic about the future of markets, especially immediately next year. I think that President Trump will probably learn from his first administration the mistakes he's made. And also, of course, there are the issues of tariffs, which are very, very hard to figure out. But I will say this, that no matter how you fall in the tariff picture, one thing we know for certain is that President Trump really watches the markets as an instant feedback mechanism for how he's doing. So I have great confidence that he will always be looking at the markets, and the decisions he makes will be very much factored into that.
Yeah, I mean, you've said that you think growth versus inflation could be a big issue. Walk us through that, because inflation has come off of the highs, but with President Trump's plans to really put growth as a priority, does it spark inflation further?
That is the one wrinkle that I do worry about is let's just put the tariffs on the sidelines for now. But if we are expecting tremendous growth, of course, with tremendous growth will probably come inflation. And then, of course, the Fed picture comes into play. And if the Fed starts raising rates to counter that inflation, that could be an issue. Remember, 2 years ago, I suffered through that incredible domain of rate hikes. And so that could be possible again. But again, I think that he will be very sensitive to that because he doesn't like inflation. He doesn't like high interest rates. So somehow I think he'll probably negotiate around that. I don't know how yet, but I do have great confidence that that probably will be taken care of.
Well, Amazon's cloud computing service announcing plans for a massive AI supercomputer called Ultra Cluster. It's made up of hundreds of thousands of homegrown Trainium chips. The chip cluster will be used by AI startup Anthropic, which Amazon recently invested an additional $4 billion in to lower the cost of AI. It's seeking to build an alternative to NVIDIA. Peter, you've got a new op-ed on Forbes titled AI is all picks and shovels, no gold. You write, quote, we should expect AI advances to show up in repetitive tasks, call centers and other low-level functions, but we should be careful thinking that AI will advance beyond that. I think a lot of people are worried exactly about that. So tell us more about your thinking here.
Amen. You know, Maria, it takes some courage to write an op-ed like that in the face of so much enthusiasm about artificial intelligence. But for the past 6 months, I've been extremely concerned that we've lost our way. Why are we doing all this large construction when we still don't have any impact, you know, to the bottom line, the profits? You ask CEOs of these large companies why they are building out so much of this, and their answer is, well, because our competitors are. This has the classic signs of a bubble. I am not totally against AI. I think it does have useful applications, but we have to scale down our expectations of this. This is so far away from emulating human thought, for instance, that we've also been misguided thinking that computers are going to replace the way we think, etc. That is probably about 20 Nobel Prizes away, if at all.
Really?
And one last thing, just use this simple analogy. Your human brain is about the size of 2 fists. Look at the size of, say, ChatGPT, the real estate. Obviously, we are not on the correct track of emulating human thought. We are on the total wrong side of this, but it does have some limited applications.
Well, I mean, look, you see robots walking around, Rebecca, and you get scared. Yeah. Jump in here. Are you on the other side of that trade?
I appreciate your opinion, Peter, but, you know, when I was at my London School of Economics MBA program, the AI was scary. It was the rise of the machines. It was, wow, this is going to take over. And yes, it's not here, and there's a long runway, but the fact that we have brain chips now that can read your thought and actually execute computer things, that just, yes, the frontier is not here yet, but it is coming, and it is coming pretty quickly, I think.
Adam Johnson, what do you think?
Well, you know, just as every company had to become an e-commerce company 10 years ago and then a cloud company 5 years ago, I do think that artificial intelligence, even if we don't entirely understand where it's going, I do think it's part of the fabric. And I think companies would be irresponsible not to pursue it in some capacity.
Final word, Peter.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. However, let's put it, you know, some limits on this. For instance, should we use nuclear power plants to power a vanity project called AI for Amazon? I think we've kind of lost our expectations in terms of the scale of this thing. I'm not against AI, but let's just put it, for instance, a year from now, if these companies don't have show me the results, I think that there could be a strict trade-off in those stocks simply because they haven't made much progress.
All right, we'll leave it there. Peter, great piece to debate. It sparked our thinking there. Thank you, Peter.
Vice President Kamala Harris may have lost her presidential bid, but her campaign is still asking supporters for cash. After going through $1.5 billion and currently sitting on $20 million in debt, the Harris-Walz team sending out a post-election survey. It asked supporters which policies they should continue to push to, quote, help elect Democrats up and down the ballot in 2025 and beyond. The Harris Fight Fund is the intended beneficiary of the money. Questions on the survey also take jabs at the Trump agenda, which, let's remind you, everybody, voters overwhelmingly supported that agenda on November 5th.
Do you think that they want this money because their presidential campaign of Kamala Harris? She says she's going to keep going.
I mean, according to some of her advisors, I mean, she has not come out and said that, but there have been reports that she has said to folks, I'm going to stay in this. So are we going to see her in 2028?
Wow.
Good bet.
Hey, can we explain where the first billion went?
John Morgan, who's a major Democratic donor,
I saw what
he has come out and said this has set Democratic politics back for a decade because where is the accountability? Where is the financial responsibility? So to see somebody at his level come out and say like he is mad that this is happening.
He said she's over.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
The money burn was
Still hasn't explained where the billion. She takes great pride in saying we raised over $1 billion in the 3 months, and she hasn't really said how we spent it.
Well, I did a breakdown of it.
More than that. I mean, they went into debt.
Paying Oprah for the town hall?
$551 million alone on TV and digital advertising, Maria. No, we know that. There was private jet travel. There was the Harpo production payments, which initially we found the two $500,000 payments, Maria, and then turns out it's over $2 million.
Yeah, $2.5 million. We thought it was $1 million.
So, I mean, it's just incredible the amount. I mean, they just.
And she paid Beyonce. Beyonce didn't even sing.
Yep. And then the Call Her Daddy podcast.
Yeah.
They built
the whole set was built.
Six-figure set. I mean, Maria, they lived the life.
A set for this podcast. I mean, Trump
I'll tell you
so
why.
many interviews. Of course, he didn't pay for it.
Well, I'll tell you why they built the set, because they were so desperate for her to win, and they knew that she couldn't do it on her own. So they had to try to do things like build sets, like get Beyonce to show up, like get Oprah Winfrey to show up. They knew that it was a sinking ship, and they were doing everything in their possible to plug the holes.
Well, it gets me that Oprah went there and said, oh, he's this, he's that, he's Hitler, he's a fascist, and if you don't vote for Kamala, this will be the last election you vote in. And meanwhile, we know that Harpo was being paid now. So, you lie to your fans.
Honestly, the Al Sharpton story one got me. I wonder what MSNBC do about that. They donated to his Action Network. Whatever. Yeah, the Action Network.
Okay, so Kamala donated to his Action Network.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. And then he does an interview, a fawning interview on MSNBC. I just have a problem.
It's fine and black and white. Why can't we just... I mean, it is.
This is the woman who wanted to be in the strings of America. She blew through $1.5 billion, still is in debt of $20 million.
Well, for us, the Clintons.
Welcome back. Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and it is Wednesday, December 4th. It is 7 a.m. on the button on the East Coast. Hope you're having a good Wednesday morning. It is time for the hot topic of the hour. President Trump's lawyers are urging a New York judge to toss out his hush money case, citing the pardon of Hunter Biden. Fox News digital political correspondent Brooke Singman now live in Washington this morning with the very latest. Brooke.
Hi, Maria. That's right. So President-elect Donald Trump's attorneys filing that motion to dismiss the so-called hush money case against him in New York, citing President Biden's decision to pardon his son, Hunter. So Trump's lawyers writing this in their motion to dismiss, quote, President Biden argued that raw politics has infected this process and it led to a miscarriage of justice. These comments amounted to an extraordinary condemnation of President Biden. This is the same DOJ that coordinated politically motivated election interference with Trump by disgraced special counsel Jack Smith in Smith's special counsel's office, and advisor Tommy Vietor pointing out the flaws of the cry that Trump is a threat to democracy.
Supporters held up as an example of his commitment to use this to argue that it was warned about corruption, democracy, demonstrated with, which is Joe Biden, a lying politician.
Biden's tax fraud case, saying the president is the pardon is unconstitutional.
I'll talk about there. What do you think?
Russiagate. Anybody to account for say, he was president 4 years ago. That's the thing that we lack here.
Yeah.
Lawfare concept.
There's so much too.
Right.
So who do you take down? Right. That ripped the country. The fact that Hillary Clinton can come up with this and colluded with Russia, and it just go through the CIA and the FBI ship. He knew he had evidence, including Mr. Weiss,
Well, House Democrats are being called out after deleting this post that downplayed any concern that Americans aren't able to afford groceries. So the Ways and Means Democratic Committee commented on a post regarding the economy improving. Here's what they wrote, quote, "And here we were thinking y'all couldn't afford eggs." Well, they quickly removed the post. They haven't addressed that tweet yet, but they continue to post touting Biden's economic record. Fox News Digital has reached out to the committee for comment. We have not heard back yet, Maria. Unbelievable.
You made the point a lot of times, I think, over the last couple of months, Cheryl, that eggs are up how much in price?
160% under the Biden-Harris administration.
Right,
eggs are a staple of the American kitchen, diet, restaurant, you name it.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable.
So now they mock it.
Because our bond pay later, 990 million. This month, they alone.
Have problems.
You know what? Latino Republicans.